So if you don't pay attention to much of my work, please pay attention to this one and please don't scroll. I literally have asked to find anything that closely resembles the situation, and I think the problem isn't only the throttling and the shadow banning of my online media, so it doesn't reach many people's eyes to be able to see the full spectrum of my story, but as well as that is I've had 5 other pages on Facebook taken down, and that type of hacking legitimately takes away your energy that you've literally placed into things over and over and over, where it makes this right here harder than people can imagine it being. I'm sorry, I look tired. I am tired. But I'm going to first go over the imminent dangers that I'm presented with, at least the most pertinent ones. Is just the fact that I have been poisoned since early childhood by my father, and then my brothers, and then people that they put inside of my life as proxy traps, honey traps, or honey pots is what they're called. They're there to only do performance. So it hurts on a level of not ever having my own natural accord for love and affection in a true manner. So not only that, but the multiple life insurance policies taken out legitimately making these people value my death more than they could ever value me, because of the money that they could make, not only being bribed probably through non-governmental organizations and things of that nature, through syndicates, but as well as what they can create from your own energy. I.e., I can bring up an example with my moving from TSU, which was a Facebook type of platform that was paying the content creators, until it became a thing that they wanted to censor us completely, and it literally takes away the idea of being and having a social media that's geared way better towards everything being true to the time, not allowing for this shadow banning and throttling to happen, not allowing for censorship to happen, and just being against those things was attacked. Like the owners were obviously attacked in that fashion. Mainly because we would all be rich. But I migrated my work and my writing to Steem it. So Steam back dollars, it was STEEMIT. And that also had a hard fork where it moved to the Hive community. So hive.blog. And that money that I made, it was over $3,000. So it was threatening to my brothers, where Jesse poisoned me up. A few days later, Kenny, my brother, had access to my computer out of trust, thinking that I was going to be moving this money into a non-fungible token that was going to make me money, but that was not actually the case. It was the case that the non-fungible token, Omnicomp, and I think there was one other one, Omnicomp, and so Omnicoin, and there was one other one, but it made money for them, knowing the IP address of where I was at, to the blockchain, to the money amount onto the blockchain specifically, so he could go in and take that money from me and that I would never see it. The whole goal was so that I was being financially depleted while not being aware of my surroundings in the fashion of, like, legitimately the guy never wanted me to have any help at all, based on the fact that his conscience has got to be completely annihilated in the fashion of just legitimately doing this to his own little brother. And so next is just the fact that he was an insurance agent and he moved to being a broker. for mortgages, and the fact that I was put up into a house, again, controlling my energy after the place that I was living at, into a specific location where Jesse poisoned me again, making it harder for me to see through this stuff to then literally write the biggest check I've written for this house that I'm in, that I don't feel like I've ever gotten to actually live in or do me the way that I would have otherwise had been doing. So this is identity theft, and it's also the imminent dangers used to rack up massive debt, massive smear campaigns, and massive slander in the fashion of just not being able to see through these things. Oftentimes when I was younger, dealing with the same type of psychological manipulative scenes of witchcraft or the gossip, it would be like I knew what these people, or I knew how I felt, but I didn't understand it. And so what I would do is I would write those things down, and it would be like a suicide letter, or be like really, really messed up stuff, okay? I would write really messed up stuff of as to what I felt they wanted of me based on the demonology present, or the very wicked evil present that was legitimately placed in my life from a young age based on my father's decorum of a sexual escapade against his own children, that this world just subtly denies or kindly denies being possible. So it's messed up, but what I would do is I would write those things down, and I would go to this place called the Peninsula, and I would burn those things. I would make a little tiny fire, not a big fire or anything, but just a little tiny fire so that I could throw these words inside of that fire. And I thought of it like I thought of it being like not only like a burnt offering. I was really studying what a burnt offering was, and I believe it's like legitimately herbs and stuff like that, and wood burning that actually like gives a good scent into the air to offer to the Lord. But I wanted those ideas and ideations, I guess you would call them, as far as what was happening to me, to literally go up to God to deal with. So I would try to do my best to let go of all of that pain that I couldn't understand or couldn't see is where it was coming from, or reason through, I should say. But I would give that as a burnt offering to the Lord and say, Lord, take care of this. And things in that fashion. So it's part of my testimony. It's not praying openly. You have no idea what my prayers are. But the systematic sabotage of every job from young age moving forward, in any fashion of attempting to rebuild my life or just create my life in the first place, like from the jump, was repeatedly sabotaged and annihilated by these people in circumstances of, the circumstantial pressure that they left there. And so having my utilities being cut off in a meaningful time to the T of the foreclosure that's created through the blight, the investment that they have into my home already being through the identity theft, they literally can't allow me to stay. So that's why I'm looking for literally influencers out here that could literally support me and literally sponsor me for my heart's work, because it's just an amazing website, you guys. Like, hands down, it would be like the best mission and movement, I believe, for not only the abused and the targeted, but as well as just those that would take concern to these efforts and just wanting to move differently in that fashion, where I don't believe in any kind of capacity of people's minds that we're living even close to our potential as humans. And if you literally see it that way, like, have a dialogue with me, because you're wrong. We're not living up to our potential. Maybe the evil clucks out here in their little cucklery fucking camp is like feeling like we're living into our potential, or like they feel like that they're living up to their potential, but their potential is completely evil and sick, and its design is literally to surveil us and track us and get us to take the smart technology, which is literally surveillance monitoring and something technology, radioactive technology or something. I can't remember exactly, but I've been speaking out about it for years. It's just I've gotten more away from that to legitimately be able to tell my story. So I haven't gotten to play my drums as much. I had my drums ripped away from me for 11 years. I was also poisoned trying to figure out why I was so good here and there, but then I couldn't carry that same energy. It just in no frame of reality of it being like what I would say to me now, that it's an obvious red flag all over the place, just my own skill level and skill level set or skill set level. But when I'm being poisoned here by the proxies that these people brought in my life again, because they did it to me before, was an extreme red flag to, oh my gosh, this has been happening to me for a longer time than I even realized. Because you just, like you're suffocating down to the cellular level. You just don't have capacity of reason to literally get out your words. And that would be me literally inside of manager meetings where I literally couldn't speak my mind, maybe like 10% at best, you know. And so I was literally hoping that my managers and people that have literally dealt with me on a day-to-day basis could literally see these things and submit those letters or submit their thoughts as far as that part is concerned, and just my workmanship and just what happened to the police, so that hopefully those records can get past the police and the syndicates that are literally trying to stonewall that information in the first place into the courts, so that I can be seen for who I am outside of the many, many years of being poisoned. And I need that, and if I don't get that, well, my point in this is just to say that you are still blessed, you are still loved by a loving Father, and even if they literally just kirked us all, we're still blessed. And it's just the fashion of the facts that we would be living our lives completely different if we were able to. And if people can't see that fact, they're just not willing to see much of the facts at all. And so the next and most pertinent part of the imminent danger of this threat is that legitimately they're moving up the ante big time to take care of me, because it's not only coming from cops and sheriffs and people that are protecting my dad's fuck ass shit, but they had a van come here on a specific day that was to like legitimately make me feel that that was the timing and placement of what would happen, but it's not true. They don't come to you in that kind of fashion. And I believe wholeheartedly that that was not only to scrub me from the earth, kidnap me, but legitimately take all of my content down. Right or wrong, that's a scary fucking place to be in when you're dealing with identity theft and you're dealing with these punk ass, bitch, cowardly ass men being inside of my own family that can't even have one, not even one, simple to do adult conversation with me about this stuff. And it was the same thing with me getting the most mangled piece of mail that I've ever even seen in my entire life to anybody, but it's happening to me. And it being a curated crime and a created crime over me coming from the chief of police, and then not even having the chief of police even have it within himself and themselves for a long enough period of time. Like, dude, grow some balls and actually do your job and contact that person back. Have that 5, 10, or 15-minute conversation with them. Don't skirt around that and consider yourself a manly man with manly balls just because you're driving around in government cars and working in these kind of ways. Because that's literally subsiding to the fact of like what your job is to entail and what you're supposed to do. And instead of them doing their job, it literally ghosts me and literally creates for the narcissistic type of discard, just the same way as all of these other people just did. And that is why I legitimately am out here mad at these police and mad at these systems, to just tell them that you don't have any balls, do you? Your balls should be powderized. Like, you just do not have any nuts inside of what we're actually going through out here, or with anybody's situation, to tell you the truth, because you can't work in that fucking fashion and consider yourself a good man. That's them playing good cop, bad cop. And if you ask me, any portion of that bad cop makes the whole good that they put out for a show. It's just garbage. You can throw it away. And so the 45 years of my life that I've never once had inside of my own ability to have my own bed, my own roof over my head, with my workmanship and my actual love for work being on point, and working way harder than probably both of my brothers and my father combined. And you might as well throw Jesse in there as well, because not one of these people could go through what I've had to go through and become the warrior that they didn't recognize that I had to become. Moving away from my character, my own personal character, and legitimately moving out of my character by their intention through the poisonings. So everything in my life has been deliberately sabotaged, annihilated, and destroyed to that level where a home that actually felt safe, and like I wanted to actually make a house here and make a home, and I wanted to literally get furniture for my extra rooms, literally going through all of my stuff, throwing away. This corner here is like full of electronics that I haven't even been able to touch since I moved in. I got other boxes, like 20, 25, 30 boxes I haven't even been able to get to and touch based on this crime against me. So it's like, anywhere that you can go in life to feel safe, you should be able to feel safe inside of your own home. And I couldn't feel safe in my own home, especially after knowing that Jesse and Aurelia were coming up into my house to create their proxy affair. And it was legitimately that. It was Jesse didn't like her. It was just that Jesse had to be that person. And if they do like each other, by all means, you can have her. Because anybody that's willing to take money and do this type of psychological abuse to a person, they're just gutter trash as the police are. They're just as gutter trash as the CIA fucking handler friend Jesse was. They're just as gutter trash as my brothers for doing what they've done to me. And I don't know if I can compare them to exactly what my father is, because my father is just a piece of shit. And so every single year that I've been trying to establish my own peace of mind and get to a place in that fashion, and then these people knowing that all of the things that I was going through for all of those many years were caused by them, to continue this shit, to literally trying to murder me before I could reason through it many times. Being just, oh, I'm sick, or this, that, and the other. I couldn't even compare it to one of my last relationships that was also proxy. As soon as I did get away from them, though, or at least getting away from the poisons, and finally realizing that this has been happening to me for a really long time, then I could finally feel that sunlight like I've never ever felt in my entire life before. Even as sad as I was, I felt bright about the fact that I knew things that I couldn't have and I shouldn't have been able to hold within my body just emotionally, but then also the aftermath of the poisoning. So I wanted to literally dig out my joy and my happiness, and I should have been able to be allowed to do that. I'm not mentally ill or mentally unsound in a curated position of poisoning me to literally force a mental illness or force something to look like a mental illness. Because if you ask me, that's literally murder by design by my own family brothers and by people that I felt were familial to me and family to me and that I loved, but that just didn't have love for me when they just instead had that love for money and greed and power and just this, they're on a power trip of overtaking my life with intent. So they wanted me dead. They tried to murder me. That's also being ignored by these fuck-ass police with no balls that should just be powderized. Go throw your powderized balls inside of the river and go feed it to some fish or something because you got no balls. I don't care what your wife sees in your balls. I don't care what your boyfriends or whatever see in your balls. Because if you're that much of a faggot, then I don't care if you even have a wife. You got no balls and you're a faggot to me. So me still being here after all of these attacks, and if that right there doesn't say anything to anybody, then none of my work will. But I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still breathing. And these people know that without God and me flopping to the ground at that last time, thinking that I wasn't going to even be able to make it through that night and be alive, just fuck all of them, man. Fuck all of them for what they have done to me. Because this has been a lifetime of crime against me, every single age of my life, stemming from my father's abuse and sexual escapade against his own fucking children. And people don't want to suggest that that's even possible over it being a mental health situation. What are you going to just do? Deny the fact that I have eyeballs in my head? To literally had seen the shit? And I literally had to placate with my brothers at that age. Because I couldn't speak. But I knew that I had to pretend that I couldn't walk. So anytime that they came around, I just fell back down. I fell down to the ground. So I didn't know anything else that I could do to try and save my sister from what I knew was going on based on all of the commotion. My mom with the courts, my mom speaking to people on the phone, other people speaking with their family coming around and coming over. Just because I couldn't speak didn't mean that I didn't have any reason inside of my body at that age. And then I would literally fall down to the ground when these brothers came around me so that they weren't prepared for me when my father had visitation rights. But my father's a complete fucking asshole for doing what he's done. And honestly, with the forensics literally just going after mental health and literally targeting my sister's conversation in that fashion to just specifically be about going after mental health when I literally was on the line with him asking him to ask her about the sexual abuse and not a fucking thing of it being brought in about it, tells me that he's a fucking piece of shit too. You play a good game, you can make your hair look nice, and you can dress up and dress yourself because you got money in that kind of fashion, but you're a fucking piece of shit faggot too. If you don't do the right thing there, which you're not even doing a little smidgen of what I asked you to do, and then you're just going to literally suggest it's mental health, like all of these other fucking Freemasonry cunt holes. Sorry, but all of you fucking supposed men out here in the world, you ain't got no balls. And literally you should just fucking tie them off, dude. Freeze them, break them up with a hammer, throw all that powder in the fucking lake or throw all of it in the fucking river and go feed it to some fish. So you ain't got no fucking balls.